Today on Investigate TV Plus, a pain no parent should experience.
Days should be gone where you just put your guns down, where any child, curious as they are, can get to it.
Families across the country are losing children to gun violence, and we investigate what can be done to prevent accidental shootings.
Disabled it from actually being able to fire a chamber around or anything like that on the inside.
And Apple AirTags have sparked stalking complaints.
They're so small and so easy to hide.
We dig deep into the concerns associated with those trackers and how you can stay safe.
Plus, a musician is determined to chase her dreams no matter how out of reach they might feel.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus. Every year, hundreds of children nationwide get their hands on loaded guns and hurt themselves or a loved one. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. 2023 saw the highest number of unintentional shootings by children in nearly a decade. The nonprofit Everytown for Gun Safety recorded more than 400 incidents for the first time since they started tracking in 2015. Advocates for gun safety believe these shootings are preventable.
Here's an in-depth look at how children are getting their hands on firearms and what can be done to keep the guns out of reach.
Every time I hear about a child being accidentally shot, I immediately drop my head and I pray.
In 2022, Francine Strain lost her 12-year-old grandson. She says his 10-year-old brother found a loaded gun on a bed and accidentally shot him.
He said he didn't think it was real. When they don't properly know how to handle firearms, he picked it up and it happened.
Research finds it's happening to families across the country. According to a study published in 2023 in the journal Injury Epidemiology, most kids who die from an unintentional shooting or playing with guns at home are mistaking them for toys. Researchers analyzed nearly a decade of cases from the National Violent Death Reporting System in which children under 15 accidentally killed themselves or another child with a firearm. The study found in 80% of cases the gun belonged to the victim's relative. A majority of the victims were boys, and 40% were between the ages of 2 and 4.
We don't want to forget about him. We want to do something that could help someone else.
After the death of Strain's grandson, the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department partnered with organizations to hand out gun locks for free.
Days should be gone where you just put your guns down on a table or in your drawer, where any child, curious as they are, can get to it.
And it's not just police departments. There are programs across the U.S. offering free gun locks at fire stations, doctors' offices, even gun stores.
Here, you're just taking that down and through.
Bo Brickman with Stonewall Tactical in Ohio says all of their guns come with locks.
So now what you just did was you disabled it from actually being able to fire a chamber around or anything like that on the inside.
He believes it's an easy way to prevent tragedies.
Lock it up. It's not going to walk away. It's not going to go off on its own. It's always somebody that touches it.
The American Academy of Pediatrics states about a third of children in the U.S. live in homes with firearms, and 43% of those households contain at least one gun that is unlocked. The AAP advises safe gun storage can reduce the risk of injury or death.
Slide the lock through the slide.
Everytown for Gun Safety finds households with locked firearms see up to 85% fewer unintentional injuries. The nonprofit reports at the beginning of 2023, 26 states and D.C. had some form of a storage law holding gun owners accountable when a child can or does access an unsecured gun. Their analysis found the 9 states with the lowest rates of unintentional shootings have gun storage laws. This includes Rhode Island, Hawaii, and New Hampshire, while Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee, all without secure storage laws, saw the highest number of unintentional shootings by children.
You can't insert a magazine back into the firearm.
There are several types of lockboxes and gun locks on the market and in the works.
You can see on the back of the firearm there's a green light blinking. That means it's safe. It means it's locked.
Pennsylvania and Tennessee-based Lodestar is developing a smart gun designed to limit access. The idea? Only you or someone you authorize can fire your gun. Co-founder Ginger Chandler explains it can be unlocked in 3 ways, with an app, a pin pad on the side,
2, 1, 3, 2.
or the fingerprint of an authorized user.
So that unlocked it, and I can lock it back. It's locked again. It's that fast.
While Lodestar admits its technology is not a magic solution, Chandler believes it will have appeal once it hits the market.
It's going to be somebody who's comfortable with technology and they're worried about their firearm being picked up or used by somebody inappropriately.
Something Francine Strain hopes more gun owners will take seriously.
And that's all we ask. Let's not lose another child because you didn't want to lock it up or put it up.
The Everytown for Gun Safety report also found high schoolers between the ages of 14 and 17 were most likely to unintentionally shoot themselves or others. And the violence happened when the kids are more likely to be home, like over the weekend or during the summer. The National Rifle Association believes your gun is your responsibility and suggests being proactive when it comes to storing firearms at home. The NRA says always unload a gun when it's not in use and store it in a location small children cannot reach. The association says it's also important to drill down gun safety with your kids, such as never touch a gun if you find it. Instead, go tell an adult.
Even when it's not a child holding the gun, shootings take a physical, emotional, and oftentimes financial toll on families and their communities.
It was many a days I would like trying to put a little bit together just to get one meal. So we learned how to make do with what we have and get by.
But it's not just loved ones who foot the bill. Analysis by Everytown for Gun Safety found each year billions of dollars in taxpayer money is spent on costs associated with gun violence. And the price tag varies by state. To learn more about where you live, visit InvestigateTV.com and search cost of shooting.
Still ahead, a majority of emergency calls come from cell phones, but dialing 911 on those can be tricky for children.
She just asked me, what is your plan of action for emergencies?
We'll explain how a conversation with your kid could help save a life. But first,
Apple AirTags are billed as an easy way to keep track of your keys in your wallet, but the tiny devices are also being used to track people without their knowledge. We investigate what's being done about this and what you need to know to keep your family safe.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download.
chances are you recognize the sound. That's the beep of an Apple AirTag.
The popular trackers are everywhere these days, helping people find personal items that have been misplaced, lost, or even stolen. But the device has a downside when it comes to safety.
Reporter Kristen Crowley investigates the unwanted tracking of people and how it could affect you.
That sound is supposed to bring you a sigh of relief, because it means that missing purse, keys, or even pet can be found. And in the years since Apple first introduced the AirTag, the benefits have gone beyond some expectations.
So if I hadn't had that AirTag to show me where it was so early this morning, it's very likely that there could have been thousands of dollars more damage to my vehicle.
Take Joshua Wiley in Memphis, for example. His car, despite being under the watchful eye of a security camera, was stolen. But thanks to an Apple AirTag, he was able to lead police right to it. The same thing happened in Charlotte, where a tracker led police right to a suspected thief. Helping people find their belongings is what AirTags are intended for, but that's not always how they're used.
Apple detected that there's one in my car.
In your car?
These devices aren't just tracking things.
But he's been, stalking me, tracking me.
They're being used to track people.
I think think my mom put a tracker in his car.
It sounds like it's coming from right in there.
A track from my job.
Without their knowledge, tech expert Albert Foxconn says they're a major safety risk.
The thing that makes AirTags so, dangerous is the fact they're so small and so easy to hide.
At just the size of a quarter, with a price tag that's less than a tank of gas, these trackers are sparking stalking complaints all over the country. From St. Louis,
You don't know if they're trying to get you, if they want your car, if they're trying to break into your house.
to Nashville.
We'd like to know who it was and why they were tracking us.
I just got to the point where it scared me.
This man called police in Georgia when he found not just an AirTag, but a weapon left behind his seat.
Finding a knife in my car, that scares me.
What are the biggest dangers of unwanted tracking?
We've seen allegations that people have used AirTags to stalk, to, plan violent crimes, to know when someone's not home for a burglary.
So what can you do to stay safe if you think you're being tracked? Well, first, if you get this notification on your phone, experts say you should go straight to a police department. Then, on that notification, you can press this button, which will play a sound to help you locate that unwanted AirTag. Once you find it, police should be able to scan it to try and see who it belongs to.
In some states, people behind unwanted tracking can get arrested. But 24 states do not have any laws tied to unwanted tracking. And 3 of those states that tried to implement new laws haven't seen any legislation pass. In response to concerns, Apple updated the technology with new privacy warnings, louder beeps to help you locate them, faster alerts of a potential unwanted AirTag. But Khan says it isn't enough.
Is there a safe version of AirTags that can exist?
The only safe version of an AirTag is an AirTag that's being pulled from the market.
And he warns the positives of finding your missing keys or stolen car
Everywhere I went today, it tracked.
don't outweigh the negatives.
They can truly happen to anyone or anywhere.
Apple declined to comment on this story, but told us it condemns unwanted tracking and is actively working with law enforcement. Apple also says it plans to update AirTag safety warnings in the future. In order to receive an alert that an AirTag is nearby, you'll want to double check your iPhone settings. Under Privacy, make sure Location Services and Find My iPhone are both turned on, as well as your Bluetooth.
Still to come, a musician refuses to let a devastating diagnosis silence her singing.
If I feel truly proud about a song I've written, then that's the best success to me.
But first, an in-depth look at why children of the digital age may be inadequately prepared to respond to an emergency situation.
It's evolved from being not only about child education, but also about parent education.
Plus, tips to teach your child when it comes to calling 911. Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms. A child's ability to dial 911 can save a life.
But as cell phones replaced landlines, will your kid know how to use a smartphone in an emergency? Research from the American Academy of Pediatrics found a majority of kids as young as 2 know how to use a smartphone, but most don't know how to use it to call 911, even though parents reported talking to their kids about what to do in an emergency.
Reporter Heather Graff investigates the disconnect.
My boy.
In St. Louis, Missouri, a 10-year-old's quick thinking,
I don't know, she just sounded like a zombie.
saved his grandmother's life.
Everything went black. And the only thing I could move was my finger to try to get my grandson's attention.
I was screaming her name, and she wouldn't answer me. So I got her phone and dialed 911.
Melanie Robinson suffered a diabetic episode, and doctors say her condition could have been worse if Keon didn't call 911 immediately.
If he hadn't been there, I hate to think what would have happened.
Thankful, her grandson knew how to get help. But Leanna Timpone wasn't so sure if her kids would react the same way after a conversation at work got her thinking.
She said that her son called 911. He pulled like a chair to the wall. And so she just asked me, what is your plan of action for emergencies?
As mobile phones outpace landlines, that's now a common question for first responders.
It's evolved from being not only about child education, but also about parent education.
Education that revolves around cell phones, as the Center for Disease Control reports more than 80% of children lived in wireless-only households in 2022. The American Academy of Pediatrics analyzed how 50 children between the ages of 4 and 9 would individually react in a simulated emergency. Less than half of the children in kindergarten and first grade recognized the emergency, and none were able to dial 911 or report it. However, in second and third grades, 80% of children recognized the emergency, but only 20% were able to call 911, and even fewer could answer the dispatcher's questions correctly.
I'm going to bring up right there that emergency button that we push, and then that will allow me to call 911.
Kyle Gaines with the St. Charles County Ambulance District recommends starting this lesson as young as 3 and practicing often.
On-the-spot drills. Okay, where's mom's phone at? Where's dad's phone at? How do we get into it? What button do we push to make that 911 call?
Timpone has started teaching her kids what to do, but she's also heard of getting a security system with a button or a doorbell camera inside the house to connect with mom and dad.
This is a love like no other. Like, you know, you don't want anything to happen to your kids.
When having a conversation with your kids about how to call 911, first responders say it's critical to explain the different types of emergency situations, from fires to medical or even stranger danger, so kids can articulate to the dispatcher what's happening. And the most important thing parents need to drill down is home address.
You know, this really gets you thinking. Technology is so great in so many ways and allows us to connect so easily, but some basic things like calling 911, people don't even know how to do because of technology.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this story so parents will know, I need to go home and see, can my child do this in an emergency?
Yep, important lessons. Up next, a singer forced to overcome what seemed like an impossible obstacle.
I woke up one day and couldn't hear out of my left ear.
How she's propelled her career forward while inspiring others to pursue their dreams. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.
Like I went searching for something that I needed, found out a little more than I wanted. Can't say I didn't want you.
A musician in Knoxville, Tennessee is writing and releasing new music while hardly hearing a note.
Reporter Brittany Tarwater introduces us to the singer who's using her struggle to inspire others.
Act 1, he says hello. My heart says, here we go.
Zoe Nutt doesn't just hear music, she feels it.
Act 2, we're getting closer. Just listening to music, analyzing it, learning what a song is supposed to be telling you, and why. Like, those types of questions were always asked us as kids. I should have seen the signs.
Why? It's the same question she asked when one day the music stopped.
I woke up one day and couldn't hear out of my left ear.
It was very stressful. There are parts of it that I don't remember because I think I was so stressed out about it.
Doctors are still not sure, but think it's from a virus called cytomegalovirus, or CMV, something she may have gotten before she was born. There's no cure, and hearing loss is a common side effect, one that began for Zoe when she was about 4 years old.
And by the time I was 8 years old, I had lost all of the hearing in my right ear. I wore hearing aids a little in that time to try to mitigate it, but at that point, 8 years old, profoundly deaf in the right ear.
Her hearing continued to decline, oftentimes in waves.
You're asking yourself, like, God, why this, why now? Am I supposed to be doing this, am I not? I have seen every doctor, done every test, and it sounds like my hearing loss will progress till I could potentially be profoundly deaf in both ears.
She was losing her hearing, but never losing her passion for music.
But in between the lines, I set out to do this, and I will figure out how to do it.
She started writing songs and learned how to play the guitar.
There were days where I literally would put my head against the guitar in order to hear what the chords were.
She wore hearing aids, even got a cochlear implant in 2018, but it failed from a manufacturing defect. She had to have surgery to replace it.
There was a moment that I was very embarrassed about wearing the implant and the hearing aid. Having things on your head and on your ears and wondering if people will find that strange or not, I was a little worried about that at first, and now it's silly to think, but yeah, I think that I would have done this a lot sooner had I not been so afraid.
Releasing music, serving as somewhat of a love letter to her family and herself.
My first record I put out during my hearing loss issues when I was first losing my hearing. So it's called Like You, and that song is all about losing my hearing and wondering what like my children or loved ones will sound like when I can't hear them. So if you like
a full circle moment, the same question she was asked as a child, now time to ask herself, why?
If I feel truly proud about a song I've written, then that's the best success to me.
That's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching. Next time on Investigate TV Plus, in a medical emergency, just seconds matter.
Everybody's just standing there. Like my dad, he couldn't do anything. Like he was like shaking.
A valuable skill can save lives.
I was looking at it and my mind was going back to what I was learning in school, and I was like, that's not what that looked like.
Why experts say one solution starts in the classroom.